Hey guys, this is George Waifu. I'm going to freestyle here and talk about the current situation with the COVID-19. In these very trying times, where families have been asked to stay indoors and restrict their movements, I want to say that we are going to get through it eventually. This is a pandemic of epic proportion, something that has happened only about 100 years ago during the Spanish flu, which killed millions of people. And it took a lot of leadership for that pandemic to be stopped at that time. So it is very clear that leadership was very poor this time around. The major superpowers and the major world leader did not take control when they should have. Because if the world had a leader who had vision and foresight, who led and allowed and others followed on time, would have been able to contain and curtail the movement of the virus spreading. If the President of the United States had taken this pandemic situation seriously from the beginning and handled it as seriously as he should have, then we wouldn't be talking about a worldwide spread, the worldwide pandemic as it is today. He called it a hoax from the very beginning, and said it was a common flu. So hearing that from a world leader like Donald Trump, other world leaders would logically follow, however stupidly, and do whatever that world leader is saying, because he's the President of the United States, so it means whatever he says is like hearing from God. Now, this has not been done because of the inactions. We now see the devastation or devastating effect in places like Spain, in Italy, in Iran, now in the US. This could have been avoided. It could have been avoided with good leadership, like I said. But unfortunately, they decided to try and take the easy way out, or to be political about it. Right from the beginning, I've said Donald Trump was not the right guy to lead the world into the 21st century. He got in there in a very controversial way, and now we see the resultant effect. So anyway, let me move on. Now back to Nigeria, where the lockdown is also affecting places like Lagos, places like Abuja, and even partially Ogun State. We know that the poverty level here in these parts of the world is very high. People live from hand to mouth. They live day to day. And so when they don't work, then they don't eat. The federal government has rightly done what it should do by directing a lockdown. But then, did they ask the question, what happens next? How do these people survive a lockdown for 2 weeks and possibly longer? How do they survive this? How are they going to feed their families? How are they going to live one day, a day at a time, on the meager resources that they have? How are they going to do that? Did they ask all that? You know, with these kind of lockdowns, we notice that people who high income earners to medium income earners went on a shopping spree to stock up their houses, for this period. So what about the family in Ajegunle? What about the family in some of the poorest areas in Lagos and Abuja and Ogun State? And across the states, because many states are also locking up. So what about those other families? How are they stocking up? Do they have the 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 to go buy food stuff and toiletries and water? Do they have enough to buy and keep during this period? I mean, the answer is obvious. They don't. So we have to find a way. The government has to find a way to reach out to these people. They have to dig deep and get food to these people, to the various regions. I was having a discussion and somebody said, government should not find it difficult to reach out to these people. After all, when they are distributing bills, they go to every nook and cranny of this, of our various states. They know where the poor people are. They know where the rich people live. You start from there. For example, those distributing NEPA bills know where they don't distribute NEPA bills to. And so which shows or indicative of the fact that these people cannot afford to pay for bills. So it means you start from places like that. Go to a Makoko, go to an Ajegunle, get to these people. Then even normal places or places like Lekki area, you have a lot of poor people. Go to Ogombo, which is close to Abraham Adesanya. People are living in abject poverty. Come to Shangotedo. So I think government should do this for the people. We don't want a situation where people become violent. We don't want a situation where people start going out, breaking into stores, because for lack of basic necessities and the inherent need to survive. We saw a case of a lady who had 3 kids and decided to take her own life, but thankfully she was rescued. We don't want to start seeing more cases like this. I believe that federal government is trying. They are getting a lot of support from individuals, corporations, banks, to fight this scourge of coronavirus. They can still do more. Part of that money you allocate resources to go to these various areas and distribute food items, distribute water, distribute packaged gari. So in fact, I thank the federal government at this point for even having the foresight to encourage people to go into agriculture. In these trying times, if not for local productions, do you think we would have had sufficient food? Locally produced foods, do you think we would have had it? I don't think so. So I think this coronavirus pandemic is a learning moment for Nigeria and many other countries who have not been doing things right. This is the time for us to get things right, to think deep and understand that we need to do more for our people. We need to do right by our people. We cannot continue business as usual. So thank you. I hope we can circulate this and get others to hear about it. Thank you.